How do I get into Linux? What laptop should I use? Should I use a desktop or a virtual machine? The answer for how do I get into Linux is an easy one. Just start using it. As far as the other questions go, those are all going to depend on you. When I first started using Linux, I did all of it at once. The very first time I installed it was on a laptop that I had. I was taking an IT online course, and it was Ubuntu that I installed on this laptop that I had. I think it was the only laptop I had at the time, so I was kind of completely relying on using Ubuntu. But hey, I clearly I survived. I also installed CentOS in a VirtualBox VM as well. I think it might have also been on that same laptop. I'm not sure. This is probably like 4 or 5 years ago, so don't remember all the specifics. I wanted to make a series of videos though, showing you the different methods for getting into Linux. Not only do I want to show you how to get into Linux, but I want to show you how to do it on the cheap. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to find a cheap laptop to install Linux on. This is B from Tay Talk Tech, and today I'm going to show you how to get into Linux on the cheap with a Linux laptop. Stick with me. I've got a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like it, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like it. Give it a dislike if you didn't like it. Make sure you let me know what you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or emotional outbursts down in the comment section below. And lastly, make sure you stick around all the way to the end to make sure you get the most out of this video. Let's do this. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over to the desktop. What we're going to be talking about today is eBay. I know eBay does get a bad rap for being full of scammers, but I would argue it's no worse than Amazon. Amazon just looks prettier and has way more money. You can get a lot of great deals on eBay if you know where to look and how to navigate it. eBay has protections in place to protect you from scams and will give you your money back if you don't receive the product or if it's not what you ordered. Many sellers will have a return policy, so it's really important that you read everything in the listing to make sure you get all those important details. Now, there are a few simple things that you can do to help protect yourself on the site. Now, the first thing that you can do is make sure you're buying from a reputable seller. Now, you're going to want to check seller feedback to make sure that they have a history of good service and products. Those that don't will actually end up showing in their reviews. So let's take a look here at this listing here. We'll get more into this specific listing here in just a minute. But this is the seller right here. It's feature marketing, and they've got 5,901 reviews. So what we can do here is let's go ahead and open this link up in another tab. And here we go. We got the page for the seller. We can see all their products and all that good stuff. They've got over 14,000 items sold with 100% feedback. That's more than likely rounded up because nobody's ever going to have that much good feedback. And it's been a little while since I messed with the... Oh, here we go. Feedback. Yeah, you'll just go over here to the feedback. And you can actually see here, you got like more of an aggregate one here. For the last 12 months, we can see that pretty much 5s across the board. That's probably why they rounded it up to 100. Was just because, it's pretty much 5 out of 5, 4, 4.9, 5, 4.9, and all that stuff. And look at this. In the last 12 months, they've had 222 positive reviews. They've had 1 neutral review, and you'll be able to tell, like, that's why I said you can tell by the results. I'm sorry, the reviews, is because if you saw a ton of negative reviews, even if there's like maybe quite a few positives, but then there's like a lot, like a significant amount of negatives, that could be an indicator that it's a bad seller. So, and most of the time when you look at the feedback, you're not going to get like a detailed thing. They'll just say, hey, great, great as description, works great, thank you, a nice seller, the article is very well maintained and reasonable delivery time. So yeah, but usually these, at least in my experience, for the most part, reviews are relatively accurate as far as the sellers go. So that's going to be the place that you want to go. Now, let's go back to our listing, and as I kind of stated before, is you're going to want to make sure. Oh, actually, no. Before we get into that, is you're going to want to look at the pictures that have been provided. Now, depending on the seller, is this picture and this picture look more like possibly stock photos. It does not, there's no guarantee of that. Just because, you kind of really have to like zoom in. Let's try to go back to this one. Why will it let me do it on that one, but not this one? Oh, I guess this one's not big enough. Yeah, see, these are probably stock photos. This one and this one. They look pretty much identical, and you can't really do anything with them. This one, you can actually zoom in and all that stuff. You can see there's some wear and tear and stuff like that. That's not uncommon. But if you look at like other ones here, like this one right here, this one's got a ton of pictures. And a lot of times what these pictures will do is they'll give you a pretty good indication of what the condition of the product is, as well as things that will be included. If you notice with this particular listing right here, there's no charger in the picture. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that no charger is included, but it's going to be a sign that, hey, I should probably go check the description so that I can make sure that I get exactly what I want. So you'll want to make sure to not only look at the pictures, because those will give you a good indication, but you're also going to make sure you read the whole listing. Because right here, you know, they put this in the title because their goal is to bring you in and then get you to buy their product. You know, and you really want to pay attention because it says these laptops are used in excellent physical condition, working condition. The photo and listing, yeah, it even says here, is a stock photo of the exact model it's listing. We have multiples of this laptop. If you need more pictures, have any questions, yeah, contact the seller. And this one also includes an AC adapter, you know, for the power. Now, it's pretty common for these things not to come with AC adapters when you're buying them on eBay, so pay attention. It's weird because it goes in waves. Like, I'll have waves of laptops and no issues with chargers, and then all of a sudden, like, none of them have chargers. So, you know, just pay attention, read through it. And this right here is going to basically give you you've got a couple different things here. You've got like this right here, which is going to kind of just be like a brief description. This is where you'll do all your purchasing and stuff like that. And then here, it's actually going to tell you like the shipping details, where it's shipping from, as well as delivery estimates and return policies, which is great, as well as the payment methods that you can use. PayPal is honestly the easiest way when dealing with eBay. That's the way that I go, but you can also use GPay and all these other ones. So now looking down here at the description, you're going to have like the item specifics. This right here is going to kind of be stuff that the seller inputs themselves. And, you know, this will be just a summary. Now, you want to make sure that you also look at the item description from the seller directly because this is going to tell you all the specifics. So it's really, really important that you pay attention to what's in the pictures and what's in the description, because if it's not listed there, it's probably not included. So make sure you don't buy just on impulse and read before you actually buy. Now, there's a couple different methods that you can use for purchasing. Is one of the easiest ways to do it is going to be what's just called buy now. With buy nows, they tend to be a little bit more pricey than auctions, but that's not always the case. And one of the other things, though, too, is that when you're doing a buy it now, is a lot of them will, if you see here, says make best offer, or best offer, make offer. So you can actually make an offer, and I've had quite a few times where I put in an offer for, you know, maybe, you know, half of what they're asking, and they're like, oh, hey, yeah, sure, man, we'll take that. So it never hurts. The worst thing that they can do is decline it, and then, you know, you move on with your life, or, you know, you counter offer and stuff like that. The last one is going to be an auction. Let me see if there's any auctions. Like right here, you can see this laptop right here. It currently has 72. It has 70. I'm sorry, it's going for $76. Has 16 bids. You know, and depending on the amount of time that's left, is, you know, that you could get this laptop pretty cheap. You know, so you're running the risk though, because you know, a good chunk of the time when you're doing an auction, you know, they're going to go for less than the buy it now, but that's not always the case. And one of the things you'll want to really be careful with when you're talking about auctions is just getting so invested in that one. You know, my recommendation is set a budget, stick to the budget. Doesn't meet the budget, move on with your life. I've done that plenty of times before where I have bought it and put more, and then I'm like, ah, crap, I could have just bought this myself. You know, buy it now, and I would have paid less than doing it through the auction style. So, all right, perfect. Now that we've kind of done a little bit of talking about eBay, let's actually get into the listings that I wanted to cover today. So this right here is the first one. This one is a Dell Latitude E7270. This one has an i7. It's 12.5-inch laptop, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes. It's got Windows 10 Pro on it as well. Give me just a second here. I'm going to pull something up. I've actually got this laptop with the i5 version that I bought for probably about $90, maybe 95. It's right here. If you can see it in the window, it's not on right now. This is, you know, I just use it for like Linux and testing and stuff like that. So I actually always had really good experiences with Dell laptops. So that's why all of these products that you're going to see today are pretty much Dell laptops, especially their specifically their Dell Latitude line, because these are business laptops. So these tend to be a bit higher quality than their consumer side ones. And I hate their consumer side ones. I will not buy a consumer Dell laptop, but I will buy a Dell business laptop because I've had pretty good experiences using those. And keep in mind, you could go with an HP kind of equivalent or Lenovo equivalent as well if you're looking for that. These are just ones that I am suggesting here. These are not the be all end all. And remember, we're using this to get into Linux. Now, this one, it has it has 8 GB RAM, and it also has 256 gigabytes. And now this one actually has an SSD, which means it's going to be faster storage speeds. And honestly, 256 gigabytes for an 8 GB of RAM and an i7 6600U are all going to be sufficient for installing Linux. Now, you could also get this one probably with an i3 or an i5, and those are going to be perfectly fine. I definitely wouldn't pay $119 for the i3 or i5 versions. Definitely want to go ahead and take into account like what tier that you're looking at. And you could also find ones maybe that have a Ryzen CPU in them that may be at similar prices. So don't be afraid to kind of look at the different CPU options that are available. Now, this one's pretty simple. The great thing about this one is it's just the connectivity that's available on it, because not only does it have it's got your typical USB 3 ports, but it also has it's got an Ethernet jack. It's got an HDMI port, and it's also got a mini display port. So you can actually hook up 2 additional monitors to this as well. And it also includes the charger, which is great because remember back to what I said about chargers, they're not always there. So that's pretty awesome. Now, one of the drawbacks to these is the screen resolution is only 1366 by 768. I actually like this because we're going to be running this at native resolution. And now the issue is that when you're talking about scaling in Linux, is what scaling does, it takes your image, it's going to scale it up to 200% and then scale it back down to 150 or 175%, whatever you're using for your particular use case. So this way you're actually getting a native screen. You'll be able to see it, do everything you need on there, and you won't have to worry about doing any scaling. And because sometimes with scaling, you can get some blurriness, fuzziness, artifacts and things like that. Not too common most of the time now, especially with Wayland being implemented. So just keep that in mind. And the great thing is you also have, Windows key that you'll be able to go ahead, if you want to go ahead and have that for, for your own use at future time, or if you want to dual boot, you can do that as well. I'm not going to be covering that, but that's definitely an option that you have. And I really like this laptop. I've had a great experience with mine. Don't have any real complaints. It even has a webcam, so that's great. It's got 3 USB 3 ports. It comes with a 65-watt charger, and this one also has Wi-Fi 5 or Wi-Fi AC. It's also known, and I believe it's either, I can't remember if it's Bluetooth 4 or Bluetooth 5. It's one of those two, and it also has an SD card reader if you care about that. I don't, but it's there if you care about it. Now, I wanted to kind of show you another option as well. Is this Dell Latitude 3490? It's a 14-inch, and this one actually has a newer i5 8250U, and it's got 16 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabyte SSD, and it's got a Windows 10 Pro key. Now, these are much more modern. These are much more. This is a little bit more modern of a CPU. It's still about I think about 4 years old. At this point in time, it's got more RAM and all that kind of stuff, and you're getting it for the same price. Now, one of the things, though, I will tell you is that this is one of those cases where it does not come with a charger. It says right here, no charging cables are included. So if you wanted to go down this road, you could get this for $119.99. Because this processor is going to be probably maybe about 10% better than this one. Depending, I can't remember if this one's 2-core or 4-core. But they're going to be reasonably comparable. As far as the use case goes, these are only 2 generations, and at this time, Intel was not making big strides as far as their CPUs went. So it's not going to be blow you out of the water kind of like performance difference. But you'll have to, for this one, you'll have to buy a charger, and then you can also, here I found a listing for a charger, a 65-watt one, and it's only $17.99. So you're looking at almost about $140, $120 for everything all in. Here we've got $140. So it's really going to depend on what your budget is. Personally, like if I had to choose, I would go this route and then just buy the charger separately. But you may only have $120 to spare, and this is the only one you can afford. But you're still going to get a decent laptop. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're really trying to make your budget go and you don't have a lot of money in your budget, I also wanted to show you another option. You know, and this is an older laptop. This, I think this one was released in probably about 2013, which is 10 years ago now. It's got an i3 3120M. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a 256 gigabyte SSD. It's going to have your charger, which you can see right there, and everything looks functional. It's got a webcam in it as well. It's got a bunch of ports. It's got an Ethernet jack. I believe this one also has Wi-Fi as well, if I remember correctly. Look, it's got HDMI. Yep, it's got right here. It says Wi-Fi right there. It's probably an older Wi-Fi, probably Wi-Fi 4. Maybe Wi-Fi 3. I can't remember where we were at in 2013, but off the top of my head. But yeah, see, it even tells you the manufacturing year right here. But we know that with this one, we're getting the 256 gigabytes because it states up the top. And then this one also has the same screen resolution as well as the previous one. And it does give you condition here, good physical condition. A small dent appears on the front cover near the logo. Now, keep in mind, like small scuffs, damages, scratches, those are all going to be part of buying any used hardware. Because even if you were to buy like a desktop or anything like that, it's still going to be, you know, the same. You know, so keep that in mind. So yeah, there we go. We went over a few different options for you to be able to get into Linux on the cheap. You know, this laptop right here is only, God, it's only $66.75. So we're looking at $67 for a fully functional laptop. This isn't going to be a powerhouse or anything like that. So, don't go trying to, edit videos on it or anything crazy like that. But it will get the job done as far as learning Linux. So I wanted to show you a variety, what I would recommend, something kind of around that same, an equivalent of a little bit older one, maybe a bit cheaper, and then also one that is even older, but also significantly cheaper. It's about half the price of the ones that we're looking at otherwise. So awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for watching the video today. Make sure that you go ahead and check out this other video that I have on screen. Remember, mistakes make you better, so keep on making them. Thanks again for watching my video, and have the greatest of days.